Maniga China Kama Luezo Ayo Wally Luezo Shukwe Mania Maponi sat in Piotr Valley. A piece of liver, delay, previous on the Celepido SADHU the ball, let with the ball, Ponsapido, Shilly de Piabome.
Yesterday, Sayadawgyi spoke about the easiest object to be observed when sitting. He spoke about how to note this object, and he started the topic. Today he will speak about it completely, combining theory and practice.
Tia Atute Sura the Talunda Walonga Mimi Boago Trivatavane Pitagero Kuwait Tainte Mudi have Pomalaga Chiniwara Kuwait Tainte Musra Shiamana Palaka to Wushiniga Council Amakanje Tavi Melo Hey, the Goshin, you are going to change and to do a getting lame as well. The Lu Zavid and the Lumiabu. The Lu Gini Lucia. Go and sorry ha, Tremla of Sitapara. The Lu Twella, I go say the Shini de Lucia. It is so ha. Tete Yemi, Tantan Sonzam Sitapo. I'm a good in a yard. I go there, go so hard. Pomla Vene. No need for lady, Ella don't have food to water.
Meditation practice, practicing the Dhamma, is so that there will be self-control in one's life, for one's whole life. If one doesn't pay attention to this, there won't be self-control. We can't just trust in a powerful being to save us, just living however we like without any self-control. If we trust in another powerful being to save us, then we won't develop our own individual power. Our powers will be weak. And this is because of trusting in something that is not trustworthy. So one should consider how one's own personal power is stunted, is undeveloped when one trusts in someone else to just save one.
Sauti touching Yatamiyavada. Middle Tanama Yoyo Lojimu Lova Nangande Lojimu Lova to go on San Lova Sura, Tarituka Peters, or take me Tijabo. To me, a Mita Tires or a Mita Zip Holavo. Midday so that through I choose you or Lula through a conversation. The Gugong Sanochi to Yabo, Mita Tades or a David Chivo. The Gugong Samu solution through I choose you or Lula that is the Bawa Java. Through a conversation, Through a Messiah Jana. I go to go home a son at the war. Meet a Guruna Tare the Waha. Luda Pisa or Panditarama Forest. That a legend here, a teenage here. As a little don't I know she who get around Jen and Buzurana. The river to say, Septo Yungia. To Aloga, you might look at another Pierre. To go on and the Gonsan, Seki, Arjun. The Ochojiwa Teo, now Lazaro. The poor Josie what's where now Lazaro. The Rabbi Josie what Rabbi now Lazaro. Kudasu Konzai, Ko Tavi Konzai, Talova Chisava. Gila Vedru, Boyajo, Hansam Pasam Mave. The great Kina Tanares or a Mishivo. But the woman city came a bit Meta Ta, Meta Gruna Taviro. Ludari, Jindon Naima. Kavajija Yana de Soria, Tisita Leve. Sayadaw Yomido, Tisita Leve, take Mishila. Daha Kavamashi Ludari. Kisiji Johnny Robert.
In the world, mostly humans want a comfortable life, and they don't realize that in their own being, ordinary wanting, or lobha, greed, selfishness, and extreme greed, they don't realize that these things give us trouble. And they don't know how to have an attitude of metta, the attitude of wanting others to be well. For selfish people, there is no meaning to wanting another person's welfare. But when one is unselfish, it's natural to want another's welfare. It's natural to want others not to suffer. And these qualities of metta and karuna, loving kindness and compassion, can turn us into a true human being. So we should have confidence in this. And we should also have confidence that with these two qualities of metta and karuna, loving kindness and compassion, that being a true human being, there won't be problems for us due to having these qualities. We should trust in that. In the world, selfishness is at an extreme level, and therefore one person and another, they can't understand each other. One group and another group can't understand each other. And between countries in the world, there's an inability to understand each other, because people are only able to see from their own selfish viewpoint. They're only able to see the needs of their group or their country. Real compassion is virtually non-existent. Only if we can have these attitudes of wanting other people to be well, wanting the welfare of others, and only if we can have the wish of not wanting others to suffer, only then will we have real world peace. So because there's not any ability, people have virtually no ability to reflect in this way. This lack of being able to reflect like this is the cause for people of the world to be destroyed. People who let their minds just go freely like this don't pay any attention to their environment, to what is around them. The one that people love the most is the one that we love the most is ourself. And this is what is most important, to love oneself. So if one loves oneself, then what is needed? What do we need to do? We need to guard ourselves so that we don't do things that are wrong, so that we're not in the wrong.
Buddha Vyaswaga Attanasi Piyansenya Rekriyana Surakitana Dilosotavaya Tatavariya Koko Chilushiyena Atudavya Adiyan Shire Ludari Mavoli Koko Chite Chisialu Yusalu Shiyena Chipuyalu Yusalu Shiyena Koko Chilushiyena Losovare Paloam Rekriyana Surakitana Miko Kauswa Tindi Social Nailote and Nevoli, Kauswa Sigi Social Milo the Bawaja Kongo Social Pa Pioza Apikeo Data Tanda Pase, Kendonda Pase, Lutilo Solura Babe.
The Buddha said that if you really love yourself, you should protect yourself well. And to protect oneself well means to be able to live free of fault, to be able to live free of blame. Atanang se piang
Miko Kauswa Social to Milo
Mama. Nale Baripia. Mama, so sorry.
Koko Sauka Poko Pidala on body. Koko Sauka Dasrudabo.
So the Buddha said, Atanang se piang sinya, Rekeya nan surakitang. So it means that if one considers oneself dear, if one loves oneself, then one should protect oneself so that one is really well protected. And as Sayadawgyi said, that means one should live in a way that is free of fault and free of blame. That's what amounts to being well protected.
Lupida o nire niyaro patamazo lupida wo lulu siddhadabhu ludiya shi pi do lu thet lu phit pho da thai ayi ji pa le lu ye lu phit la bi so chi da ho shi dan tin ya pa le saw ne ye atwet loki pinya de tin ya da lo taw tin ya da lo passa chaw a lo ya da lo chama ye ya lo ya da lo da ro tu tu ko lo ya me ha de pa be ba ma thu sa na ma ho pa buအဲ့ဒါလိုလူလောကထဲမှာနေပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တစ်ဖက်ကအရေးကြီးဆုံးကလူနဲ့တူရမယ်လူလိုစိတ်ထားတတ်ရမယ်လူသိဉာဏ်ရှိပြီးတော့လူထက်လူဖြစ်အောင်လည်းကြိုးစားရမယ်အဲ့ဒါလိုအဆိုရှိပါတယ်
There's a method for living like a true human being, a method for developing a pure and humane heart, and for developing special human knowledge. If one is a human being, this is what one should do. Of course, everyone has to get an education, learn a skill, make a living, get enough to eat, get enough to clothe themselves, take care of themselves. Everyone has to do that, and there's nothing special about that. But what we have to try to do is to try to live like a human being, a true human being, to try to have a humane attitude, a humane heart, and to try to develop special human knowledge. If we're a human being, we should try to do this.
Ko atwet ko midasu atwet saw ni pi le pho ya atat pinya de tin cha pi do a lou ma jio sa lo shi ye baya ma phassan ya ma mo pa bu baya ma saw ni ye atwet ma lo la bu so lo shi yin pi song ma bu di do pinya tat pi do a lo ya pa la lo ye lukkha de ya da be Kadi lukkha de ko myat myat tat tat သုံးဆွဲတတ်လို့ရှိရင်တကူရည်နဲ့မိသားစုအတွက်သာဝနေဘာမှမဖြစ်တော့ပါဘူးမျက်နှာမငရတော့ဘူးလောကမှာအဲဒီကျမ်းမာရေးတို့လူမှုဆက်ဆံရေးတို့ဘာတို့လူတွေမှနေလဲဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဒါတော့ပဲလူတော့တာတော့ပဲအဲ့ဒါဒီပြည့်စုံလို့ရှိရင်လူလောကမှာပြည့်စုံပြီလို့ဒီလိုအများကတော့နားလည်ကြပါတယ်အမှန်ကတော့ Loki beka sawni pile yone lupida de lo ma so nain ba bu
For oneself, for one's family, if we don't make effort to learn a skill and to make a living, then we won't get paid. And if we don't get paid, we won't have enough to live on, to feed ourselves, to clothe ourselves. If we work, we get paid. And if we use what we earn in a moderate way, then it's not hard to live. We have enough to get along. And most people think that and living, having friends and so on, most people think that this type of material well-being is enough But in fact, just having enough to live on is not what makes us, is not what gives us a truly human life.
Kizgaya solution, Palope, Pinari Tata, Palope, Pasani Popo, Palope, Chamali, Kong Kong, Palope, Lu Taiwan, Mia Mia Boli, Lumapida Level, Trua Lupida or Lumapina level. Lulu Sitata on a Lumapina level. Ludi and she will do tell you, Pione Lumapina level to the body. Usually not a tire. There I go without a video, you to be city. Take without payload at time him, says your take lady, Piasivo Givo. The Bukal La Piera, Lula La Piova Nelushi, Pira Vesura, and the Nevoli. A group of kill each other as Rativo. Tindalo Loki Nine, Lola Nelo, Machito Wu Sura knowledge of it. Naloyi Combo, Cojitia Combo, they do a piece of Yana Javare. Era ha Kavatre, Kauna Lekanat Kuva.
Accordingly, no matter how much education we get, no matter how much money we have, no matter how good our health, no matter how wide a circle of friends and connections we have, these things can't make us a true human being. They can't give us a humane heart, and they can't give us special human knowledge. So we need to understand this in an ordinary way. In countries that give a lot of priority to material development, just look at the condition of teenagers in such countries. Because of placing an emphasis on material well-being, young people are quite immoral, just having the idea that it's enough to live freely, just live for the moment, live however you want. A result of this attitude is the immorality and the condition of young people today. So the fact that people are starting to realize that living just as you want, living with complete freedom, is not enough. There needs to be, one needs to have good human qualities in order to be a good person. The sign that this is a good sign for the world that people are starting to understand this.
Era Boyo Buddha Vyaswaga, Sikha Surazgali Totavara. Sikha Sura Lupida or Lucidata or Ludia Shivida, Luta Luki or Body, Santa Milure Pocore, Nilan Sharora, Eddie Nilani Yasovia, Kuren Chimbido, Eddie Nilani Target, Sikha Sura Pamazo Tinjaya, Kunatomio, Pia Body, Lulo Sitata, do not do all lose a looting and see the Luke Lucia, that is Lila Sapia, that Tinjaya covered. Sadi Tiviro The Kego, the Arego, the Jalu, the Bo. Then he Korono got say the Sayadaw. Then she will send them yellow Sanda, in a lechi about it. Nila Nishi, yes, Ranala, view body, Eddie Nila, you hear about it. Then she will Sanda, let's see about it. Era take Yaji about it. A good ma. Yes, I will reject the Ari Ho Pilia. What's it done? You know, the Pocori, Lulo, Lunetu, Lulo Sayadaw, Ludinia, she was a Luda to Kian body, send them into the Pocori. Yes, I will Hojata de Harego. The need, Nene, Johnny, Pure Cheto, Goa Jana, Viro, hold out there to the body, Yunki, who lady, she, Dwabo. Hold out the Yunki, who lady, she, Dwabiro, Kona, Lunet to Jena, Lu Sayadaw Jena, Luda to body, kitchen at Sana, lady body, and a lady, no period over. Hello, Chini Yaulavi, Solution. Diega, Alolo, Josa Musula Pilla, Sonza Musula Pilla. Leshi Kauna Yego, Leve, Yes, Sonza Viro. Lunetu of Ludo Sayadaw, looking at you, the Luta to Pia Volley, and a Uzapi the Volley, Polado Rababe. Uzapi the Volley, Akon Lele. A good Tiari Atutaniama Yudimu, Sesamu, Mayamana Simusara, Erihali, Seta Chilla. Era Chigamamu Solution, the Yaula, Yara, Elucita Pare Tajamano Yara, Che, Maconze Cello, good lady, Tepilo Pionia Pare.
The Buddha used the word sekha, or training in Pali. Sekha, the trainings which make us a true human being, which make our mind truly humane, and which bring special human knowledge. One who wants to have a better life searches for the methods, ways to do so. And the Buddha searched for and found these trainings and left them behind for us. First of all, we need to study, we need to learn how is it that we become a true human being? What is the method for making the mind humane? What is the method for developing special human knowledge? So we have to study, first of all. And when we learn, having learned about these methods, there should be a real desire to actually do this for ourselves, to become a true human being, to develop our mind so that it is pure, humane, and to develop special human knowledge. When one knows there's a way to do this, then there should be a desire to actually do it. And therefore, the Buddha taught these methods. And so for people who want to have a high standard of living, to be well off, Sayadawgyi is speaking little by little every day about the methods the Buddha taught. And this is so that when people hear about it and then they feel, yes, that's right. This is probable. This sounds true to me. So hearing about the Dhamma, listening to this is so that we can wake up the desire the trust in the Dhamma and the desire to get the results. If one has these as a base, then one will try. If one knows that there's a way and one has the desire to get the results, then one will make the effort. One will give up what one has at the moment and make full effort to learn these practices, to put their effort into trying. And to the extent that one applies oneself to the practice in this wholehearted way, based on having the desire to gain the results, respect for the practice, careful practice, and continuity will automatically occur. If one doesn't have this base of understanding that there are these methods, that they are for these three things, if one doesn't have the trust in this and the desire to gain the results, without this, one won't work effectively, and it will be just a waste of time. So Sayadawgyi does not want us to waste our time, and therefore he's speaking about this again.
Nilani Shide Sudalebe, Dalesha Puyabare Nilani Tivido Adi Nilante Judaluche Yatnine Suda Yunki the Kergo where Lupida Ludes Handa, the day people. But Mazo Yechi Dagado, Shunki Hubabe. That day Yechi water. Longa Miyuki Uzolochi, the loco, Joe Poretti, Malone Mau. Mayong the Yozolochi, Leve RP Mishivo, RP Mishuzolochi, and Mayana Mau. Junkiama, that day Yechida. A day Yonchina and Mogo. The trip and Loga Pelu, Joshi, that's Ravoli. Lolo said, you are Baria, that's Ravoli. Jochi Neo Boli. Kosenako Yoki Lekane of Yogi Babi. The Yoki Mushi. Yoki the Law, Sanda Shia. Tidiao Ato to the Sanda. Lulu Setata or Lutia, she will look at the ship of Sanda Shia Mama. At a Parmazon Teji Bada. Jamaye Kawada. Jamaye Sora, Gukigaro, Jamaye Loma Contour Mashiva. Tavi Mayalo, Gulo Tiare, Aduna Lao. Jamaye, Pizum, Dajiva. To a Kaiti, Jaunema, Egan Jaunema, Mapavo. Chumujama, Atone, Poco, Tiatu Yato, La Shiva, Yoga, the Piotr, La Shiva. I don't care them home. Do the Jamaye Goloshi, Pogoma, to teacher the piece of Bara. Amatongaro, say tap something, say tap some take you show Yukshonasura, go much to Ejako. Topo to Nepokuri, Topo, Bari Lure, Bari Hare, Bari Lure as a Ravoli. Hamasaw Go Machine go on level, she looked without Miati on Lemoneo. I do what he needed to be there. Dari pure look at 2 miles or about it, Damubo. I did look level Machine. ဒီအလုပ်ကိုလုပ်တော့မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့ဒါယုံကြည်မှုကတော့ရှိထားမှာပဲသို့တော့ blind faith မြကန်းယုံကြည်မှုမျိုးတော့မဟုတ်ဘူးအတင်းလည်းမယုံကြည်ခိုင်းဘူးကြောက်တဲ့ကြိုးကောက်ကိုဆင်ရင်ယုံကြည်ရမယ်ဒီတိပ္ပံဘာဝနာတရားစိတ်စီကြမှုအစအကျိုး9မျိုးရတယ်ဆိုတော့မြတ်စွာဘုရားကတိပ္ပံရဲ့အစမှာပဲကျင့်ညာချက်ထုတ်ထားတယ်ရဲရဲတော့ကျင့်ညာထားတယ်လုံကြည့်ရှိတယ်မှာပဲဒါသိကြတယ်ဒါသိရေးကြည့်ပါလေယုံကြည်မှုအခုလိုဖောင်းနာပိဏမတ္တာတရားလားဘယ်လိုလဲစာထဲလည်းမပါပါလားဆိုတာပေါ့လေအဲ့လိုသူလို့နဲ့အတွေးတွေဝင်ပြီးတော့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်မယုံကြည်ဘူးပဲဒါအဲ့ဒါလည်းလုပ်လို့မရဘူးကိုယ့်အသာမှန်တာပဲဆိုပြီးတော့ကိုယ့်အကိုလုံးနေအဲ့ဒါလည်းပဲဒါလည်းမဟုတ်တော့ဘူးတိတိကျကျဖြောင့်ချင်းဖို့သိရေးကြည့်ပါလေကိုယ်မမှတ်နိုင်တဲ့ဟာကိုမှတ်နိုင်တယ်ဆိုရဟာလည်းမဆောင်ရဘူးမသိတဲ့ဟာကိုသိပါတယ်ဆိုတော့သိအောင်ဆောင်ပြီးတော့မပြောရဘူးပုံမှန်လေးနဲ့ပြောရမယ်အဲ့ဒီရိုးစင်းတဲ့သဘောလည်းသိရေးကြည့်ပါလေရှစ်5ချက်ထဲကအဲ့ဒီအချက်ပြမဆုံး3ချက်ကသိရေးကြည့်ပါလေယုံကြည်ပြီးတော့ဆန္ဒပြည့်ပြည့်ရမယ်ရလို့တဲ့ဆန္ဒစိတ်ထားဖြောင်းရမယ်ခုနကျမ်းမာရမယ်စိတ်ထားဖြောင်းစင်ရမယ်ဒါအထုတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေဘက်ကအစဉ်သိရှိထားဖို့သိရေးကြည့်ပါလေအဲ့ဒါကြီးအစဉ်သိရှိထားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့ဘုန်းကြီးတို့တရားနဲ့ကုညီရတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေဟာပေါ့လေဗုဒ္ဓယူကြအလိုကြတရားနဲ့ကုညီရတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေဟာသိလွယ်ကူပါတယ်ဒီတော့ယောဂီများကျုံတော့ခါလေးပေါ့လေဆွေမျိုးသုံးထပ်တော်တဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေကိုဘုန်းကြီးတို့တရားနဲ့ကြည်တဲ့အခါမှာခံယူနိုင်လောက်အောင်ပေါ့လေကိုယ့်ဘက်ကအစဉ်စစ်ရှိဖို့လိုအပ်တယ်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီစိတ်ထားလေးအများဆုံးမွေးဖို့သိအရေးကြီးပါတယ်
There are 5 factors or 5 qualities of a person who is able to make their life better in this very life. And Sayadawgyi will speak about the first 3 of these 5. One should have the goal of making oneself a true human being, of developing a humane heart and mind, a humane attitude, and of developing special human knowledge. There's a way to do this, and having heard about it, one should have faith in this, as well as desire to gain these results. So the first factor that one needs is trust and confidence. If one doesn't have this trust and confidence, then one won't do the work at all. If one is half-hearted, half-believing, half-trusting, then one won't apply oneself fully. Sayadawgyi is not forcing you to trust or to have faith, but he's tried to mention what the benefits are of the practice. And hearing this, there should be faith as well as the desire to get the results, to make oneself a true human being with a humane heart and mind, with special human knowledge. So this is number 1, trust and confidence, also called faith. The second factor needed is health. In this day and age, no one has really good health, but one should have enough to do the practice. This is not there's not a fixed amount of health that one needs to have. Some people are not healthy, and they can practice to gain the Dhamma, and they also cure their illnesses. but it's better if you're healthy. The third quality is that one has to be honest and frank. One has to be able to reveal one's faults when it's appropriate to the appropriate person. One shouldn't try to hide one's faults in that situation. One shouldn't pretend that one has qualities one doesn't possess. So if one is going to do this practice, one needs to have faith and confidence, but not blind faith, and not faith that is forced upon us. The practice of Satipatthana brings 7 benefits. The first of these is purity of mind. The Buddha spoke about this at the very beginning of the Mahasi Sutta. Try it and see. It's sure that these results come. So it's important to have trust. If one thinks about, is observing the rising and falling really the Dhamma? Is it really in the text? If one entertains things like this, one's practice will not be effective. So if you think that you know best, then this attitude will get in the way. If one is not able to note something, but can't admit that to the teacher, if one doesn't know something, but pretends that what one does, all these attitudes amount to lack of honesty. So to recap, the first quality, the first 3 qualities that Sayadawgyi has just mentioned are most important. First of all, that there needs to be trust and confidence, faith, and following this, desire to get the results. Second, you should have health. And third, there should be honesty. So these are very important. And if a yogi possesses these 3 qualities, it is very easy for the teachers to help guide them. And when Sayadawgyi, having the aim, hope that you can become related as Dhamma relatives, when we're already related in 2 or 3 ways, on your side, on our side, we should be ready to accept what is being offered. So it's good if you can nurture this type of attitude.
Time period, Shuma de Kama, one by Sagido, Pony, Pay body. She outside Chilaka Vido. Josa Niadaha, Shuma Niadaha. Tanshene, a Yiji, a Lodoku, Suravoli, the Lunale Tavido. Tanshine Niland Kubel, Yogia Vada. Tanshino Sanalasia Vada. Pony, Mummy also Vido body, Sandasia Vada. Pinay, Mummy also the Sandalasia Vada. Any Yogi Sanda. Achievement Galushi, 2 years no by far. Take the net Josa Pomula Babu. Take the net Chida Kamusula Pomula Babu. Any new Pomula Busulushi level. The Rivita Shuma Musula level Machine no Babu. That I little knowledge how Yichi Tido. The Rivita Josa Common knowledge to the Home Peru, Molota Manina, Kaune, Lotasina, Lopez, Ravoli, Nale, Vido, Yogi Wushi, how they eat you are. Pona Pinale, Maloya Ao, Mapo Sanda, Levesio, that they eat you are.
When we sit down and start to observe, we apply the mind, put the mind on the abdomen, and we try to observe every rising and falling with effort and aiming. Trying to do this is a pure and clean activity. This is a pure method. And one should want to try to develop purity. One should want to observe each rising and each falling. If one doesn't want to do this, then there won't be enough effort and there won't be enough aiming to do the practice for one's observation to develop. So it's a good thing to try to observe every rising and falling so as not to miss. And we should have the desire to do this. It's very important to have this desire. Dhamma, Josam, and Nopaya, Pola, and there, so the body. Yogi, Edade, Topo, Nalevare, Nalevu. No matter what we do, if we don't have any confidence in doing something because we don't know the benefits that it brings, or knowing the benefits if we don't have the desire to get them, whatever it is we do, whatever we're interested in doing, only if we have confidence in doing it and desire to get the results that come from doing it will we actually work at it. So we should understand this. People go at Tazi, you let the over. See, I take them with Lucy, no, take care you say, Yedo. People, Eddie Josamuha, Kudo, Yogo, Pilo Lucy. Say, don't so get the war, Machia or Lutua. Our kid, Haledo. The figure level for it, I want to see what is in a tail. You assume Mulia, she is or she. Seika, Joe below. Kona Amato Cheneto. Seika, picture ye below body. Don't go at the body. Palito, Tina Vita covered. Be at the body. Era ni bishiro. The Atosama, the Pede, the Watina Beta, Yogi, a Sozo Yama. That is Sozo Yago, Miss of Ya, Nani, a Buddha Atopa. Polare Auzigo, Sekli Yotona, Tentoma, a peanut toma. Ching it, ching paper. Api Taro say her is a section of Ching Taro say her, Nina no journey there.
စိတ်ကလေးကျုပ်ပြီးတော့ငိုင်ပြီးတာမရှိနိုင်ဘူးအဲ့ဒီငိုင်ပြီးမှုကိုအသာစီးရနိုင်တဲ့ဝိရိယနဲ့သူရဲ့ဆန့်ကျင်ဘက်ချိန်သားခိုက်ဆိုတော့ဒါလေးတွေထည့်ပေးရပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါတွေမျက်မျက်တတရှိနေလို့ရှိရင်ဒီပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ဟာတော်တော်နဲ့ငိုင်ပြီးမှုမပေါ်တတ်ပါဘူး
If this foundation is good, then there will be keen effort, keen, sharp effort will result. Effort goes beyond laziness. It overcomes laziness. Effort is brave about facing difficulties. So one makes effort, filling the mind up with energy so that it won't back off. And on the other hand, aiming is also needed, because if aiming is not there, then the mind tends to contract. It retracts, withdraws, becomes cold and sluggish. This is called tinamita, sloth and torpor. And the factor of aiming overcomes sloth and torpor, tinamita. Laziness and tinamita, sloth and torpor, these are the worst enemies of the starting yogi. And therefore the Buddha instructed us, he gave the way for overcoming this enemy. He said to apply full energy to observe the object and aim the mind. And when one does so, because of the energy of virya, or ardent effort, there won't be laziness. Because of aiming, there will be no sluggishness. The mind won't be contracted. So we overcome these qualities with effort and with aiming, which is the opposite of sluggishness. So for one who applies these energies, there won't be any sleepiness arising.
ဒါကြောင့်ဆိုရိုးစကားမှာအယုဘောကစိတ်အားစိုက်စူးစိုက်ကပ်လိုက်ပါဆိုတော့လေတော့ဒီမှာဖမှုဘောကစိတ်အားစိုက်ချိန်ကြိုက်မြဲစွာရှုမှတ်ပါတော့ဖမှုတွေပေါ်လာလို့ရှိရင်စိတ်အားစိုက်ရမယ်ဝိရိယခြိလက်ကြရမယ်ဒါယောဂီအလုပ်တစ်ခုပဲရှိတယ်ဖမှုဘောကစိတ်အားစိုက်ချိန်ကြိုက်မြဲစွာရှုမှတ်ပါခြိကြိုက်ပိမှုဘောကစိတ်အားစိုက်ချိန်ကြိုက်မြဲစွာရှုမှတ်ပါတဖန်ထပ်ပေါင်းလာပဲတခါပန်းပန်းဖုံးနေပိန်လိုက်ပိန်နေအဲ့ဒီတလုံးနေရမှာပဲမလို့ရဘူးစိတ်အားစိုက်ချိန်သားကစိတ်အားစိုက်ချိန်သားကယောဂီအလုပ်တစ်ခုပဲရှိတယ်ဒါပဲဒီအကြောင်းလို့ရှိရင်လည်းခြေတော်စိတ်ကပြီးတော့လမ်းမှုဘောကစိတ်အားစိုက်ချိန်ကြိုက်မြဲစွာရှုမှတ်ပါကြွားမှုဘောကစိတ်အားစိုက်ချိန်ကြိုက်မြဲစွာရှုမှတ်ပါချမ်းမှုဘောကစိတ်အားစိုက်ချိန်ကြိုက်မြဲစွာရှုမှတ်ပါရလာလို့ရှိရင်ရမှုပေါ်လို့ရှိရင်ရမှုဘောကစိတ်အားစိုက်ချိန်ကြိုက်မြဲစွာရှုမှတ်ပါဘာပဲပေါ်လေလည်းငယ်ပေါ်သမျှလေစိတ်အားစိုက်ပြီးတော့ချိန်သက်ကြိုက်အဲ့ဒါလုပ်ပြီးဖို့ဟာဒါယောဂီအလုပ်ပဲဆိုတာပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီအလုပ်တစ်ခုကိုကြည်ပြော်လို့ရှိရင်ကျွမ်းကျင်လာတာပဲတန်ရှင်းတဲ့စိတ်လေးတွေဖြစ်ပေါ်များလို့ရှိရင်စွန့်ရင်ဆိုတော့အလိုလိုထွက်လာတာပဲတမင်လို့ဖို့မလိုတော့ဘူးစွန့်ရင်အဲ့ဒီစွန့်ရင်ထွက်လာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့အထောက်မှုရဲ့အကျိုးတွေပေါ်လာတဲ့အခါမှာအဲ့ဒီတရားကပဲယောဂီကိုဆွဲဆောင်သွားမှာပဲကမ္ဘာဆရာတော်မှာအထူးမတည်တွန်းရပဲနဲ့ပေါ့လေသူကသူကိုအထုတ်တော်မှာပဲကမ္ဘာဆရာကဖိဖိမမလေးလုပ်ပြီးဒါတော့ပဲရှိတော့တယ်အဲ့လိုယောဂီမျိုးတွေခွန်ကြီးတို့မျှော်လင့်ပါတယ်တတိပဌာန်ရဲ့ကျိုးကိုတည်နာလဲပြီးတော့မြတ်တို့တန်ဖိုးထားတဲ့စိတ်ကြီးအပြည့်နဲ့ယုံကြည်ကြည်ဆန္ဒပြင်းပြပြီးတော့ပေါ့လေဘုံဘောကဆရာဆိုင်ချိန်ကြိုက်နေဆိုရှိမှာပေါ့ ပိမှုပေါ်ကဆရာဆိုင်ချိန်ကြိမ်မြဲစွာရှုမှတ်ဖို့အခြားခြားအာရုံတွေပေါ်လို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲချိန်ကြိမ်မြဲစွာရှုမှတ်ဖို့ဆိုတာယောဂီအလုပ်တစ်ခုပဲဆိုတာဒီနေ့လေးလေးနက်နက်ထပ်မှပြီးတော့တတိပိနှုတ်ဆိုပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီတိုင်းပဲကြိုးစားနိုင်ပြီးတော့ရဲ့နဲ့ကတွဲမှာပေါ့လေပြီးသားတဲ့ယောဂီဖြစ်ပြီးတော့အများရဲ့ကြည်ညိုလေးစားလောက်အောင်ပေါ့လေကျိုးရှိအောင်ကြိုးစားနိုင်ကြပါစေလို့လေးလေးနဲ့တိုက်တွန်းရတဲ့ဒီနေ့တရားအဆုံးသတ်လိုက်ပါတယ်
There's a saying that as soon as the object arises, aim, make effort, and firmly observe. As soon as the rising arises, one has to apply effort and aim steadfastly. This is the yogi's one job, one and only job. As soon as the falling arises, apply effort, aim, observe steadfastly. Every rising, every falling, again and again, we have to apply effort and aim. When we walk, too, put the mind on the leg, put the attention on the leg, and as soon as the lifting arises, apply effort and aim to observe steadfastly. As soon as the moving arises, apply effort, aim, observe steadfastly. When placing, observe the placing, applying effort, aiming, and steadfast observation. When standing also, as soon as the standing is there, apply effort, aim, observe steadfastly. Whatever arises, one has to apply energy, mental energy, and aiming. That's the yogi's job. And if one keeps on doing this one job, then one will become skilled, and the pure mind will develop, and power will develop. So when results come from one's practice, then the Dhamma just pulls one along. The teachers can only point out how to practice, but when the yogi realizes the results for themselves, then realizing those results pulls the yogi along so that they continue to practice. So Sayadawgyi hopes that all of you understand the benefits of the practice, and having full faith and desire to obtain these, Sayadawgyi hopes that you will understand that when the object arises, when the rising arises, apply effort and aim to observe steadfastly. There's just this one job for the yogi, and Sayadawgyi hopes and urges all of you to work in this way so that in just a few days you will become like true yogis, and you will receive the admiration of all. That's all for today. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.